Hey there, epic investors. Welcome to the show that shows people how to invest in real estate with an emphasis on retiring early. And just slid in here right at the last second. I was at the gym and then I got a call. I met with the seller, was able to put in an offer right away and came right here, but I didn't get to shave or change or anything. But the show must go on, as they say. Anyway, today we're going to talk about LLCs, limited liability companies for real estate investors. We're going to talk about what you need to know. And I'm going to deliver all of that without all of the hype. And also going to reveal the big asset protection lie. All right, so stay tuned for that. And if this is your first time here, really glad that you found us. If you like what you hear, if you like what you see, make sure you hit the subscribe button before you go. And if this is not your first time here, welcome back. And thank you for sharing this with your friends and family. I really appreciate that about you. You're the absolute best for doing that. All righty, so I'm going to bring on somebody to help me talk about LLCs because somebody more qualified and much more knowledgeable. And so we're going to go through a few questions, particularly as to real estate. How does it protect your investments and your assets? Do you even need it? And, you know, if you're just wholesaling and not buying and holding, do you need one there? So we're going to answer all of that and then go ahead and walk you through the actual steps. If you decide that it's for you, then you'll know exactly what to do next. All right. So from Prime Corporate Services, please help me welcome Tommy Thornburg. Tommy, welcome to Epic Real Estate Investing.
What is going on? Thank you so much for having me.
You bet. Glad to have you. And we're going to talk about LLCs, but first, just tell me a little bit about yourself and Prime Corporate Services, and then we'll get into the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Tommy Thornburg. I'm the president of Prime Corporate Services. Prime Corporate, we've been in business for about 10 years now. And over those 10 years, we've helped over 100,000 entrepreneurs structure their businesses. So our main motto here is, it's not about how much money you make. It is all about how much money you are able to keep in your pocket. So I know a lot of what we're going to talk about here today is asset protection, how that will benefit you. But a lot of the emphasis and what's a little bit more exciting is how you can benefit from a tax standpoint as well. So I'm looking forward to it.
Very good. Thanks, Tommy. So yeah, people are talking about, what entity that they should choose. Because, I work with a lot of beginning real estate investors. Either they're coming out of school to start a real estate investing business, or they decide that they want to walk away from corporate America and start a real estate investing business, or they're just looking for something fun to do on the side. But real money is involved. It is a real business. So is an LLC, is that what people should use to buy real estate?
Yeah, I think if you're first getting started, I think it's an excellent place to begin, right? There's times where it's going to start to make differences and start to make more sense moving into an S corporation or a different type of corporation. But to get started, if you're showing the intent and treating this as a business, I do believe an LLC is an excellent place to start.
Perfect. So what are the benefits of that? How does it protect the real estate? Why would, what do they get out of it?
Yep, absolutely. When you're structuring an LLC, there's three main things that you're trying to accomplish. The first is protection and privacy, right? Not all states are created equal, and every state is a little bit different. So understanding the state that you're in and the changes that need to be made, I think, is extremely important. But it depends on the investor. From a privacy standpoint, some people don't want their name or their address listed. Those are areas that obviously we make sure to help. Protection, we want to separate the personal and the business. You've worked hard for the homes that you have, the bank accounts, the cars, whatever that looks like. We want to be able to separate those from a protection standpoint. So that's number one, protection and privacy. Number two, it truly benefits you from a tax standpoint. The IRS wants to see that you are showing the intent to treat and operate this as a business. So by having the proper business entity, it really opens up the tax code to allow you to take those deductions, whether you've done a deal or not. And then number three, legitimizing and showing yourself as a business, right? Use an EIN number as opposed to your social if possible.
Very good. Thanks. Should always turn off my notifications before I start a live stream, because then I was like, whoa, what happened? Nothing's burning down, so we're good to go. So all right, so that's why you would need one to run your real estate investing business and how it's going to protect your actual assets and keep them separate from your personal assets. But I have a lot of people that watch the channel that are wholesalers. They're flipping properties, and before they even own the properties themselves, do they need an LLC as well, and why?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, you don't need it, right? You don't have to do anything. You can wholesale under your own name. It's just understand what you're giving up by doing that, right? There's limited deductions when you're operating as a general partnership or a sole proprietor. Open the door tax-wise and give yourself that protection. A lot of times the wholesalers that we work with also, they want to position themselves as professionals. Whether they're speaking with buyers, sellers, real estate agents, they want to be able to appear as a professional and that they have a legitimate business. So you can do it on your own. You don't have to have a structure, but I think the benefits certainly outweigh anything that has to do with just doing it out of your personal name.
Very good. Also, there's a little bit of a strategy to a wholesaling strategy using an LLC. And I used this back in the day when we were doing short sales as well. This was back in 2009, 2008. And what we were doing is we were purchasing property inside of an LLC, and then we would actually sell the LLC. And that way we just had like the one transaction. We were able to reduce costs. We were able to create anonymity with the whole thing. And depending on who your buyers are or who your closing agents are, that might be the strategy that, really benefits you. So it's another strategic way to use an LLC as a wholesaler.
Yep, for sure. Yeah. People are still doing that as well.
Perfect. So here's a good question. This comes from Molly. How much capital should I have to start an LLC? And I'm just going to add a little bit to that question for her, Tommy, and that is, at what point in your business, does it financially make sense to have this? I mean, I think from an asset protection, it makes sense right away. But, to start actually saving taxes, I mean, if you're not making any money, you're not going to be paying any taxes, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that just depends on what you're trying to accomplish as well and what your personal situation is. So if you're working a day job, if you have a W-2 or if you have a 1099 already and you're getting into real estate, the IRS, once again, wants to see that you're showing the intent. So if the intent for you is to truly treat and operate this as a business, set it up as a business and structure yourself the right way from the beginning, because there's so many deductions that you can take, and you can show a loss 2 out of your first 5 years in business. So even if you're not doing deals, I think I truly, and obviously this is a biased opinion, so I'm trying to really give you both sides. But if you are treating this as a business, structure it as a business. If you treat it like a hobby, it's going to cost you money like a hobby. If you structure it and treat it like a business, you reap the rewards of what the tax benefits have to offer. So I think if your intention is long-term, structure it from the beginning.
For sure. And how many years can you actually operate as a loss?
2 out of your first 5.
2 out of your first 5. Okay. So yeah, if you've got the startup costs and you're just learning, if you're making an investment in your marketing, you're making an investment in your education, your gas and your travel, your cell phone and all that kind of stuff, that's all to that tax deductible. And even if you're not making money, as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong, even if you're not making money in your business yet and you haven't been doing those deals, you have those losses. And you can have kind of 2 options. You can take those losses against your actual, say, your day job's income or any other income that you may earn, or you can carry those losses forward till you do start making money. Is that accurate?
You hit it on the nail. Okay, absolutely correct.
I know they kind of mess with that carrying forward losses. They kind of, that changes, or there's some nuances to that each and every year, but that's in existence now.
Yep. And there's limitations as well. But to your point, are you driving for dollars? If so, let's look at what the deductions are. Have you invested into education, training, coaching, mentoring? There's deductions that you're able to take there. Do you have a home office set up? So even before you do that first deal, there absolutely are benefits that will either flow through to write off against personal income or carry forward. Disclaimer, there are limitations. So talk to your CPA, but Matt hit that right on the nail. It's still very beneficial.
For sure. And, I remember, and I don't like to talk about my losses much because they're so painful. But I think it was back in 2015. We had bought an apartment building. We attempted to rehab it and just kind of bit off a little bit more than we could chew. And so we got out of that and we sold it as a loss. But because we had our business structure in place, it was a significant loss, by the way. And we were able to carry those losses forward for next year's and the following year's income. And it's been like, that was a great benefit of being able to do that.
For sure.
Even when you lose, you can win, right?
Yep.
Super. Yep. Okay. So that's the LLC. Those are the benefits. And I really kind of want to touch on that wholesaling aspect, because not necessarily you owning and holding real estate, but there's still benefits to you as a wholesaler. And there's even some strategic benefits. And particularly if you're just getting started, all those startup costs, all those can be written off against your actual income or carried forward towards future income. So real quickly, Tommy, what's step by step? Because there's a lot of places that you can go and get the LLC set up, and we'll go over those. And then I want to reveal the big lie about asset protection before we go. But what are kind of the steps in setting up an LLC? What needs to happen?
Yep. So every state's different, right? There's quite a few options that you have when structuring your business, but you're going to want to make sure to do it on the state level and the federal level. So let me break that down for you a little bit here. When you're filing, depending on the state that you're in, you're going to have state fees, filing fees, potential expediting fees. There's costs that have to be paid when you're structuring that business. Now, most states are rather minimal when getting the entity set up, but once you pay those fees, you're then going to get forms. Articles of incorporation is how you're going to show yourself as a legitimate business. The operating agreement. This is really the substance and the structure to your entity. When we set up entities, we have different operating agreements for every state. Every state is a little bit different in showing that you're operating in real estate, showing whether you're a single member or a multi-member. It's basically completely laying out what happens if something were to happen to you or your business partner. So once you have the state and the filing fees paid, you'll have the articles and the operating agreement structured, and then you will file the SS4 for the EIN number. And that's going to be on the federal level. So most everything before is on the state level, and then when you get that EIN number, it is on the federal level. One other thing that is very important is the name, right? When you're picking a name, we want to make sure that first and foremost, it's available. And second of all, we're thinking about the future of whether or not you're going to want domains associated. Those things aren't the end of the world. You can always set up DBAs, do business as in the future. But I would say the main thing you need to be aware of when setting up an entity is what are the state and the filing fees? What do you need to be aware of in the state that you're setting the entity up in? And then making sure you're obtaining your EIN number.
Very good. All righty. So those are the steps. And as Tommy walked through, there's a lot of things to do and a lot of things to remember. And you don't want to mess any of that up. You want to make sure you get it wrong. Excuse me. You want to make sure you get it right. You don't get it wrong. Yeah, don't get it wrong. That would be a terrible thing to do. And that's why a lot of people get a little bit confused or nervous about the setup, and they feel that they need to go to an attorney with a high fee. And that's really the big asset protection lie, is that it costs a lot of money to do. And you don't have to do that. That's certainly an option. If you have an attorney and you're comfortable with them, and go, by all means, go where you're comfortable. The other option is, you could go out down to the courthouse, or you can go online and kind of put all of the pieces together the way that Tommy explained. And you can do it all yourself. And there'll be a little bit fee. You're going to have the state and filing fees, and you'll have maybe some service fees, something like that. And so that's option number 2. And then there's option number 3. And that's exactly what Tommy does. You kind of get the best of both worlds. You get the benefit of having legal experts put it all together for you. And you also comes with a really small fee. And they kind of, what they'll do is, what they've extended to us here at Epic is a personal favor to you and myself, that they'll sit on the phone with you for about an hour or so with a nice strategy session, kind of figure out what's the best fit. And if it's not a good fit and then an LLC or the timing's not right, they're certainly going to let you know, and they'll point you in the direction of some resources that might be more beneficial. But if it turns out that an LLC is a good time, if this is a good time, they'll essentially just do it all for you, and without that big giant fee attached. So if they have that session with you, Tommy, can you kind of explain what that process looks like and what you take them through and what you teach them?
Yep, absolutely. This really goes back to when we started Prime Corporate 10 years ago, right? There was a huge hole in the market for startup entrepreneurs. When you have successful businesses, a lot of times you have access to either in-house attorneys, in-house CPAs, or you're paying top dollar for good work to be able to get these things structured. So as part of the relationship with Matt and Epic Real Estate, when you schedule an appointment on freeentity.com, you get just that, a free 45-minute to an hour consultation. If you're already structured, we're more than happy to help you understand what to be aware of or what you have in place. If you're interested in being structured or seeing if it benefits you and if the timing's right, like Matt said, we can break those things down for you as well. But we want to help you understand what states are best from a privacy and a protection standpoint. We want to help you understand what it takes in the state that you are located in. And as an added bonus, we do give you excellent discounted rates. So make sure that you're scheduling on that link for not only the free call, but the discounted entity rate, where you still have to pay the state and the filing fees that you would have to pay regardless. But the additional work, the operating agreements, the articles of incorporation, the things that can be very expensive to hire an attorney to do, we are going to do for you at the hard costs. So the fees that you'd have to pay regardless are still there, but the consultation is free and the entity is discounted down to that hard cost.
Super. Well, thanks, Tommy. I really appreciate it. It's good seeing you again. You're looking great, by the way. Happy New Year.
You as well.
So go ahead and go over to freeentity.com, and Tommy and his team will take great care of you. And if they don't, you let me know. You got it? All right.
Thanks, Matt.
You bet.
Thank you, everyone.
All righty. So that wraps up today's show. Nice, quick, short, and sweet. If you found this episode valuable, who else do you know that might also? There's a good chance that you do know someone else that would. And when their name comes to mind, please share with them. And then when they get here, please ask them to subscribe to the show, because I'm going to take great care of them. All right. God loves you, and so do I. Peace, blessings, health, and success to you. I'm Matt Terrio, living the dream. Take care.